Welcome everyone to the Rethink with Veronica channel, which our live event is all about what has happened to your Agile Mojo. And so for today, it's all about the questions of, are you experiencing burnout? Are you asking yourselves questions to, oh, I really don't like doing these parts of the jobs of a Scrum Master, or if it is, you're an RTE or an Agile Coach. These are the things that we're going to dive into of why you sometimes might feel the burnout, where there's opportunities to start embracing the you focus. And so we're going to dive into that today, and I'll start sharing my screen where we know about in 2018, 9 out of 10 people were willing to earn less money to do more meaningful work. Now, that might not include everyone, but it is starting to get to a point, especially with the Gen X generation, which I am in, we start to really think about and looking back, do I really like the career that I have? Do I really like what I'm doing today? And we start questioning things. We have generations actually before Gen X that are a little bit different than us, where we weren't raised, we were raised and they weren't raised the same way, where it was go to job, don't think, go to work, just do your job, right? There was nothing that talked about purpose or about our passion. And so when they did this in 2018, now we're starting having a mix of millennial, and then now we have the other generations coming into the market. And so that millennial generation is asking those types of questions. So as we progress through the years, that number is going to start changing. And so, hi everyone, we're going to dive into as in what happened to your Agile Mojo as we start to think about how we start embracing. So, as I said, it's only increasing. And how are you embracing the real you? And this is going to get back to your purpose. And so today we're going to talk about why knowing your true purpose is important. Also, what can impact in getting that answer, and how to really start removing any of those limiting beliefs that are going to impact your ability to move in that direction. So last week, we had the session on what type of Scrum Master are you? And you can find that on my link, the link to the videos on Rethink with the Veronica YouTube channel. And you can see that video from the last time, which we dive into a lot about the subject of your natural inclinations. So today we're actually going to go higher on the scale and talk about those different things. So we're going to jump into that today. So those of you that don't know me, hi, I'm Veronica Stewart. I am an Agilist as of today and by heart, but I am also moving into life empowerment and mindset coaching. So a lot of us Agilists, when we start to embrace the mindset of Agile, it is a natural progression for a lot of us to think about how we are empowering and how we think within our minds about ourselves and our purpose. And so it's a natural transition for someone like myself to really start focusing in these particular areas. And so I want to share in this section of the Agile series career is really about embracing who you are and who you really want to be. And so if you're in a role as a Scrum Master or an Agile Coach or an RTE, and you start really diving into that Agile mindset, or if you're already there, these are the kind of questions that will start to come up. And so I talked about in the last time, if those of you have participated in the event, which is be, do, have. And you'll see this a lot in the Neuro Linguistics Programming Language, also known as NLP. Those of you that are familiar with a lot of the life coaching certifications and courses, this is brought up. And what we tend to see, and those of you, please comment if you are experiencing what I'm about to tell you, because this is very common with us in Agile, is we always talk about have, right? What do we need? What do we want to have? What are those outcomes? And then a lot of other people will talk about the actions. What do we need to do? And we tend to just stay there. We never get to the point where it comes to either the purpose, right? What are we truly trying to do? And a lot of transformations that I have been in, that's the part where it's not very clear what the purpose is, and when it gets to people and their emotions and how they're connected. And so this can transform not only as an individual when I start to dive into this, which is really more about that individual. You can see it can be a compounding issue when you have a team, a department, or even an entire organization when B is missing from that equation. And so this really starts to become is, who do you want to be? And if that's not clear, it's quite messy. And you wonder why when we go into these transformations, if that's not clear all the way around, we get what we get today. And so this exercise, you can use it in many different ways, but this is really in the crux of talking about you. And then if you are working as an Agile coach, a Scrum Master, or what might have you, everyone is going through this in some form or fashion. And so I talked about this in the what type of Scrum Master are you? So I want to just revisit it and refresh the memories in case I have some people that are new to today's session. And so this is from the language, I can't even talk today, the Neuro-Linguistics Programming Language Change Logical Model from Peter Dills. And what this covers is really kind of showing where the logical change model is. And we are very familiar, and again, going back to transformations, we really hone in on those lower levels of the change logical model. Even change management, when you think of ProSci, is really more on those capabilities, right? And then they're still trying to work on behaviors. A lot of the assessments, even in the Agile assessments that are out there, it's really more in the behavior on the what. And you can see that's such a lower end of the spectrum when we look in this particular pyramid. I covered the values and beliefs area about the GC index in that last session. So those of you that, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, it is the Rethink with Veronica YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. And you'll be able to see that prior video, which will jump in and explain this a little bit more. And so for today, we are going to jump into this section here, which is at the top of the pyramid. And this is all about what is my purpose. It's what I talk about with Mark Twain. I love that quote. The two most important things is the day that you were born and the day that you understand why. And it's really going into the crux is what kind of impact that you want to make. And so that is that part of getting clear. And the identity. Who do you want to be? And then we go into those values and beliefs, which is really understanding why. And that's what I talked about in that GC index. So this is where it kind of starts to connect the dots and where we're jumping into today, which is that extension. So I already did that. So your purpose is really never to inspire others. And I loved when you read a lot of books or when you people talk about purpose, it's been out there for a while. We all know that, right? But it gets muddled up a lot where it starts to center around in the me, right? What am I supposed to do, as in, that piece of it. And so this is why I really wanted to hone in on this. It's really not about you inspiring others. It's more about what is that impact beyond, right? So if your work is to discover your inherent, right, a worth separate from what you do and what you have and what anyone else thinks of, then you're really free to connect with purpose. And so that's the important piece. So what do you do? What do you have? And what anyone else thinks of you? You're free from that. And so imagine you going to work every day and that connection is there. All of those things that I'm showing in that bullet point, you never really worried about it. Think about that. So we think about Massey's development period. And this is a great way that if you really want to think about how to do an exercise to find your purpose, is really doing this piece and thinking about how the feelings and the visions that you have during these periods of your life. And so when we think about that imprint period where it's from 0 to 7, you have your modeling from 7-14, and then 14 to 21 age, which is your socialization period, and 21 to 35 is that business persona. But everything after 35, like I was mentioning earlier, is that period of independence when you're actually starting to question. This exercise that I usually do on a one-to-one, and this is something that you can start doing yourself, is what was I thinking in the time where I was most happy, right? And you go through at the timeline, and each of these timelines, the moment where you were the most happy, and lock in on that moment and really start thinking about that time. And as you start going through each one of these sessions and really thinking about that, you start to see a pattern. I know I did, but I actually did it with a coach, going through that and being coached through this piece as I'm getting my NLP certification. And what ended up happening is that I started to realize that most of my happiest moments were always around people, but it was always around that childlike, when the world was like all those possibilities. Remember that when you were young, where I would say probably from 0 to 7, 7 to 14 is probably where that was very profound when I did this exercise, that you don't really have that weight of your shoulders typically of you think you can do anything. And then somewhere in that, where socially we start having these expectations of we need to go to college, we need to do X, Y, and Z, and we start going through this piece. But every moment when you start to do it, you start realizing there are some happy moments of where you think is very profound. And try this, because there was a lot of pieces where I started realizing when I was a teacher, when I was with a group of people, and this is why I ended up going into teaching, and this is why I ended up going in Agile coaching. But what I really was attached to was the people part of Agile. And what I started realizing with my personal purpose, and I'm just going to share this with you, is that most of the time I'm hired to actually do the practices of Agile. And I started to not enjoy myself because I really wanted to help the people part and really help unlock what was holding people back and those limiting beliefs. And I loved elevating people and having people smile that they actually enjoyed their work. And it was really the people side that I started to fall in love with and started realizing there was a trend there, even when I was a teacher with the kids. And so when I started to realize what my purpose was and what was bigger than me, it wasn't about inspiring others. It was more about what I actually can do to make an impact. And that is helping others get back to that inner childhood that they have. And that's way beyond me. And so being an Agile coach right now, that is what I enjoy the most. I actually started doing things that was more connected to that side. Now, those of you that went to my last class, I told you that I was a game changer strategist. And so I see all the possibilities. I am not this big playmaker where 7 to 10 range. No, that I'm a 7 to 10 game changer. And so those that have that entrepreneurial, right? They want to be an intrapreneurial entrepreneur, the ones I always tend to gravitate, which they have some element of game changer in them. And that's something I really noticed is where those are the ones I tend to connect most with. And so when I say who I serve, it's very clear to me who those people, when I am an Agile coach, that it makes it a lot more enjoyable for me and I don't get burned out, in truth. So what kind of impact that you're finding in your purpose? And that's a question. Those of you that have gone through this exercise, I would love to hear some of the things that you're sharing in comments on, what has happened if you've gone through this exercise of the impact that you're doing now today, either with your career, or did you have to look outside of to fulfill that? I would love to hear from you guys because a lot of people are going through this now, especially during the pandemic, is, how can I start to do something that is beyond me? We watch so much television, which I stopped watching television as much, in truth. But when I do watch things, I am so inspired by the storytelling when they're documentaries, or even when I'm on LinkedIn and seeing all these things that people are doing things beyond themselves. It's great, right? And we must be sitting here with lots of time, at home, starting to ask ourselves these questions. And so I'm very curious, if some of you are going through this, is, how can you make making impact, finding that purpose? And the beauty of Agile, and I truly believe this, even though I call myself more as a life empowerment coach, is that Agile's going to that people side where we're going to start helping people find their purpose, helping them remove some of those limiting beliefs and be happier people. And we hope companies, that's the whole point of why we're even doing a lot of these Agile transformations, is to make it a better place for people to work. At least I hope that's what we're thinking. And so this is a profound thing that once you start to hit that mark, those of you that are moving in that direction in Agile, or some of you that might have even been attracted to Agile because of that very reason, is because of all of this. And so if any of you have stories, I would love to hear and share, because it's our ability to start inspiring others. My dream is that every company has life coaches, that every company is not afraid to lose their employee because they help them find their purpose. And it's okay because they're not insecure. They don't have insecurities that they're going to lose employees. Wouldn't that be awesome? For me, whatever I can do to create that world is why I'm here, because that is what I see, in truth. I'm going to get all teary just thinking about it. So be, do, have is all about, what do you want to be? And getting your Agile Mojo is all about that mojo, what fires you up of what you want to do to make that impact. It's not about what you want to have. And it's not about the actions that you need to do. So when we have a lot of conversations as Agilists and Agile coaches, a lot of people always want to jump to action. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Or like how we do things, right? But we need to back it up. We need to back it up, even the B, right? Even if you're an Agile coach doing a transformation, or if you're a Scrum Master, or any of you, who do we want to be when we grow up? Like, a lot of times I don't even have companies or the leaders answering that question. Why are we doing this? They always want to go to the actions, right? What are the things, or the things they want to have? Where isn't it more inspiring, not transpiring? I can't even talk today. More inspiring to start with the B, right? And so just imagine when companies start embracing the purpose. And I'm not saying, oh, we are purpose driven, and then we're going to put it on our website, and oh, we have our values, and we slap it on a website. And darn well, when you walk those halls, they might be purpose driven on the outside, but do they care about their people on the inside? I've seen it plenty of times, of all the great things that they boast about doing out in the world, but I'm sorry, they treat their employees like shit. So that is where that B statement is holding true to it's about you, it's about me, it's about what we are trying to do. And so that be, do, have, imagine all of us really embracing that as people and human beings, how much more powerful that is. And so when we have that connection, even as the jobs that we have, all of the do and have becomes so natural and easy. I remember when my coach, she says, Veronica, what do you want? And a lot of us will jump to, well, I want to not have to get on the plane and have to travel. No, she's like, no, what do you want? Who do you want to be? You're telling me what you don't want to have. What do you want to be? And I kept on just jumping into these other pieces. And she was really getting me to focus on that B side. And I go into these transformations, it's the same thing. They can't answer that either. When they do, you see a lot of difference happen. So as I'm connecting the Agile world to you as an individual getting your Agile mojo, that's how you can see how profound between individual, team, and company, it's all connected. And so there's 15 clear signs of when we talk about fear and our inability to get to action, especially when it comes to change. And all of us as Agilists, depending on the roles that we have, we all are dealing with change. I'm sorry, but we are. That's the whole point. If you haven't really clued in that, I hate to break it to you, but we're all about change. And if you're not comfortable with it, you might want to look for like a different type of job. Disclaimer, just being honest. So the 15 clear signs of unaddressed insecurities, which could impact your ability to change, are some of these. And these are from a book. I will have it in the YouTube description. I think I already have it there if you want to check that. You can get to the link. I really like his work. He has a podcast. And it's actually this book right here. I'll show you guys. And it's Jamin Fraser. And he's a great podcast you can listen to. He has the Insecurity Project. And so he talks about these clear signs of insecurities, which I know that some of us don't like to talk about that word, but really those are the things that inhibit our ability sometimes to get clear in truth. And so you have overreacting. I never overreact, ever. Jealousy, can't say sorry, hiding, guardingness, selfishness, right? You guys can see the list on there. And all of these things could impact your ability, especially if you're thinking and having all of these negative emotions, to be able to have clarity. And so when we start to jump into, you know, that purpose and getting clear and all the things that could inhibit that, let's peel that onion a little bit further. Imagine with your teams, before I jump into this. Yeah, that's the beauty of you know, not having, you know, live events and just going with the flow, is that imagine your teams and you're trying to move them. Or if you're working in a department or a team of teams or any kind of situation that you're dealing with in your Agile roles and why you feel burnt out, you're dealing with a lot of insecurities with people. And it's just getting real. That's probably your hardest job, is to help them pass these things. The reason why they're bucking you, and you know how they talk about change happens in different rates. You know, I remember, like, you know, with Prosci and, you know, the ADKAR model. If you know it's a problem and they have a desire, well, okay, they know it's a problem, they have the desire, but they can't seem to get past it, and they keep bucking. Well, this has to do with it. So this is all related to even the work you have to do and the things that you have to do for yourself. That's what I always say is transformation starts with the individual. So which one do you think is the hardest one to crack? What do you guys think? I would love to hear what you guys think if you want to comment below. And I'd love to see what you think are the hardest ones from that list. And I'll put it back here so you guys can see, because I was really curious. I have mine, but those of you that are watching right now, and those of you that might be watching the recorded version, I would love to see out of all of these 15 ones, which one do you think is the hardest to crack? And you could be saying, you know, personally for yourself or the people that you're working with that you're noticing on those trends. So it would be kind of fun to see which ones are coming up with all of you. So please comment and let me know which ones are. So I got good news. Yoo-hoo, good news. So not all to be doom and gloomy about insecurities, because there's a way through it. Those of you that see my posts when it comes to mindset and everything, it's the 5 negative emotions, right? To undo limiting decisions, which are the root cause of your beliefs or problems. And here is all about the subconscious, right? It's how you think, and that's your mindset. And so there are ways, and I think I posted today, is when you start actually acknowledging and writing it down what those triggers are, and acknowledging what emotion that you're feeling, and then what are the beliefs that are actually related to it. There's also what is called cognitive distortion. You can Google it. Maybe I'll also put that in the description, is that you can actually take it and combine all that and do this activity, which is all of them are related to these 5 negative emotions that really inhibit you, and also are related to those insecurities of those 15 signs. And that is where you start to realize your patterns, right, as an individual. And you could take this in so many different ways. You could do it even with your teams and retrospectives if you're thinking about personal development and you're at that point with each other. Or I always say start with yourself and then work out. But really that subconscious level, working through that is what is going to help push forward and get to action. So you always wonder why you are working on things, especially as an individual, and you really want to do something, and you don't seem to be able to get that motivation. And those negative thoughts might be coming, but your subconscious is because it's programmed to what you already know right now. And what's happening is you're continuing through that mode of doing what you already know, what your mind is already telling you. This process of really identifying what those triggers are, and this is why journaling is a great thing to do. I even have my legend here. And you start actually writing down those triggers and the emotion, right? How are you feeling? And it's really one of these 5 negative emotions where you have either anger, fear, guilt, these types of things that are happening. And then you really get real and you ask yourself, what am I believing? Why am I fearful? Am I afraid that I am not going to feel smart anymore? Like, I believe that if I do these types of things, and why I'm afraid is because I actually like to always look at the smartest person. So you have this belief that doing something, that's what's creating it. Or it could just be, I don't like to fail in front of people. So you start getting real about yourself and really understanding. And sometimes these beliefs, they have distorted lenses, and that's where that cognitive distortion. I will put that in the description so you guys can check it out, or Google it. It's all over the place. So this is all about, and yes, I love Gary John Bishop, some of his stuff, because it gets real. And I like the rawness. I like when people are talking like real people, and I don't mind the F-bombs and like what might have you, because that polished is what I'm trying to get people out of in corporate world is, can you just talk to me like you are a person at a bar, right? Or at a tea shop, wherever you go, right? Or walking on the beach. I just want to talk to who you are, not who you are trying to act like at work. And so For me, I love Gary John Bishop because he gets real for that. But this is his quote. It's actually from, yes, I'll say the words, Unfuck Yourself. That's the name of the book. Bleep, bleep. If you have not read the book, you can listen to the audiobook. He's really great listening to. So he's not boring. I was able to actually do my whole elliptical exercise listening to him. So it wasn't that bad. He's really, really good person to listen to. And any of you, if you've read any of the books, let me know. Put it in the comments and let me know what you think about the series of his books. But he talks about getting out of your head and into your life and self-help. I like the positive feeling, don't get me wrong, but I also know that it's not going to get me to act if that's the only thing I'm looking for is to feel good. And so if you are doing things to get rid of your negative emotions and there's something that you need to do, right? A desired outcome, especially you, all of you that are trying to get your mojo back and you're not happy in your role right now for whatever reason, this is where I'm talking about is what's holding you back from actually getting to action. And so we have to learn how to get out of our heads. These limiting beliefs that tell us that we can't do something or things have to be a certain way. And when you start going through this exercise, imagine you, if you're still in a role as an Agilist, how you can help others get past that. But I always say, work with your first. Transformation starts with you. And so this is one great way your mojo is going to change. And here's how it changed. And I'll share a story about myself, where I am always in a lot of engagements where I don't get to choose my contract. And so I get put in situations a lot where I don't know if they really understand what they sign up for. And do they really want change or not, And so I am with a lot of leaders that really are involved in driving the change. And so I'm kind of like stuck in these situations going, doo, 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 and all these negative thoughts will start compounding in my head. And so I've been doing I do those exercises where I'm like, you know what? How can I be a creator, not a victim, and not persecute about the situation and really say, who's out there that wants my help? And I always find even if it's one person that actually wants your help. And yeah, it might not be the entire team or what might have you, but it's a lot of satisfaction that you actually help change something for someone. And so that was me trying to find ways to make a situation where I can get out of my head and push forward. But the realization when I actually started, again, going back to my purpose, I don't like to be in engagements like that at all. And I'm actually going to not do that anymore because that's not what I want. I don't want to end up doing things that, one, I can't really truly make a true impact. And I know there's a lot of other companies that really do want the help, right? And so those of you that are maybe losing your Agile Mojo, I'm not trying to encourage you, leave your job, but know that there are ways around it. If it's either moving to a different team or if it's a different department, maybe a leader that's actually more supportive, or yeah, maybe you do need to change your environment and move to a different company that actually is embracing it. Because a lot of times when we lose our mojo, especially when it comes to an Agilist, is because we're not actually able to do the things that we're supposed to do in these roles. And it becomes we're settling. And if you really are passionate and you're embracing what you're doing, it is quite deflating. I haven't met one Agilist that really has embraced the true nature of being Agile that does not get frustrated. And if you are not agreeing what I'm saying, are you in denial? So this is where this is going to be helpful also in those situations until you figure out your plan, right? I don't just end up leaving an engagement the next day because Veronica's going to, cry like a baby because she doesn't like her environment. There's times where I have to stay at the end of an engagement through those 90 days because It just was the right thing to do at the given moment. Now, remember, I contract, so I don't have a permanent job, but I already am thinking about, okay, I'm not gonna stay in this engagement, right? We're breaking up. So that's kind of the things that you can use these exercises as you're trying to get your Agile Mojo to work through as you're figuring out your strategy and plan of what to do next. It will make you happier to start working on those particular limiting beliefs that are creating these negative emotions, and that doesn't allow you to be a creator in the situations that you're around. And you can use that in your personal life as well. Obviously, there's no difference, right? There's no difference between life and career. And that's why I say every company should have a life coach, because I think all of us can use that. Imagine when you started working, right? So I'm a Gen X. If you had a life coach in your job, wouldn't that be awesome? That would help you go through these exercises and those mindsets and beliefs, and you learn how to master them better. What a great gift a company can give you, it to have that. I think that's pretty kick-ass, personally. So I talked about this in the last one, where Scrum Master, the what type of Scrum Master are you? And if you haven't came to that one, was the six principles of success. And this is also from NLP. You can see I'm pretty gravitated towards a lot of those things, because it's really about that mindset and how you think about things. And these are things that I've taken. I also added that, if you notice, into the Scrum Master outcomes the last time. And because it transcends to everything. I mean, you can be very creative with this and attach it to so many things. Imagine your team, right? Always know your outcome. Why couldn't you use that helping like with your team principles? Take real action, right? Pay attention to your results. You can use this for so many things. And so I use this for a lot of contexts, not just for individual personal development. And the last one I think is really important. And I'm going to hone on this because we are approaching the holidays, and it's going to be a tough one this year. Those of you that are in different cities and different situations, you know, it might be hard for you to actually see your loved ones. And so it's going to hit us hard. And so living with gratitude and integrity is going to be extremely important to really focus on that piece of part of it. And so it's also why I wanted to talk about the mindset and the negative emotions too, because when we work on that, and when we have very stressful situations, which a lot of us have been dealing with, these kind of things are going to help us get through it. And so this is not just about your Agile Mojo. It's really life mojo, if you really think about it, right? So as we circle back on this, I just want to make sure that this is all connecting the dots about your purpose in life, right? What is your true calling? I encourage all of you to go through this exercise if you haven't. The world won't end. That's not going to crash down, you know, once you get the answer, and you know, it actually might answer a lot of questions you might have right now. So I encourage you to kind of explore it. And you might have to go through some journaling. Like I said, you might have to go through some personal development to even answer that in truth. Because if you're dealing with a lot of insecurities and things that are holding you back in your mind, doing that purpose activity might not actually result in the way that it should, because your mind might be actually limiting you. So be mindful of that. And so the identity of who and who you are is going to make you shine as an Agilist, right? You're going to get your mojo on. So if you're a Scrum Master, right? If you're an Agile Coach, an RTE, or whatever you're doing, even an Agile Manager, right? A manager. All these things are going to help you be better for other people. And so this is why at that top of the pyramid is where I'm heading in my journey, where I've been at this bottom of the pyramid for all these years, especially as an Agile Coach. I remember when I first met someone that was an Agile Coach, because I know a lot of us move into the life coaching. That's why I believe that, like, I even believe, okay, I'll tell you my theory, guys, is that Agile coaching is going to morph into life coaching more, right? There's already a lot of us are doing it. And you know that Lisa Adkins, like all of them. So it's not like I'm saying anything new that doesn't exist, but I'm talking about predominant, right? That the practices and all of those things are going to end up being just known. And then, but it's the people part that we're going to start moving towards, right? Companies are wanting to be people first. You see where I'm going with this? And so all these capabilities and behaviors, we're starting to realize something drives it from above. And so that's where I'm saying, for me, that's where I'm heading. You could be too, in your own special way. And so I encourage all of you to think about what happened to that mojo that you have and that burnout, and start exploring above and why, right? What do you really believe in? Who are you? And what is your purpose and the impact that you want to have? If you keep focusing on the bottom parts, again, that's really the do and the having. It's kind of like a athlete. And this is the best way to describe it, is that in your 20s, you're able to push through. And they have a story, Michael Jordan's documentary, check that out, where all the negative thoughts that you have, you're able to perform. And so they actually have shown that in your 20s, your performance, you're able to push through regardless of your negative thoughts. That's why 20-year-olds can just keep, chucking away. That's why, like a Wall Street, right? Or the young ones. But as you get older, that performance goes down. Okay. And so this is why working on all these things above is so important, because that is also what causes burnout too. It's not sustainable, is my point. And so as we think about transformations and we think about working with these teams, and we want to talk about sustainability, and we're only focusing on capabilities and behaviors, we're missing the mark. We really need to go think higher. Think about really the well-being and the personal development of people and helping with the purpose. And if you are a purpose-driven company and you are a people-first company, this isn't going to be something foreign for you. This is just natural. Why wouldn't I want to help develop my people? And if they find out that it's not their thing to stay at the company, we'll part ways. But they don't have a problem with it, right? They're all about making sure that people are whole, because it isn't a win-win situation when everyone's whole. So Agile Mojo is not just about you. It's Agile Mojo everywhere, right? Life Mojo. And so I encourage everyone to really start thinking above in this top pyramid and seeing what you can do yourself and how you can help others get there. I think that's quite magical, if you want the truth. I kind of get a little giddy. So somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. I like this quote. And this is from an astronomer. I always find that astronomers can be quite dreamy. And so I pulled this because I truly believe that we can create something credible if we all start thinking in that aspect. And so as we get into Agile, some of us might be interested in Scrum and doing all that. But if we go back to the values and the principles and then the mindset of where we evolved and where we're going, right? If we think about Agile 2.0, right, where we're going in 2021, is this piece, right? Is really thinking about how incredible we can be and really thinking about as humans and how do we create people first companies. And it really starts with you, and then it multiplies. So as I wrap this up, please join. I'm going to start doing my live weekly Mojo sessions. It's going to end up happening probably after the holidays. Probably not a good time to start next week. So I'm going to be starting in December, where I'll have weekly live 30-minute Mojo sessions in ways for us to help getting our mojo back and thinking about that top half of the pyramid. There's so many other people teaching skill sets in Agile. There's, all that. But this is really for everyone that we all know is for that transcends no matter what you do. And so really talking about the Q&A and the common challenges, tips on how to stay, motivated in times of change, and stories from the trenches. I mean, I haven't really gotten real and told some of my war wounds of a lot of, being an Agilist that really got me to this point. And a lot of the insecurities that I really had to acknowledge, as an individual, to get real with myself when I had to answer, who do I want to be? It's pretty tearful when sometimes if you're not happy and you have to really kind of uncover all of that, because if you keep putting yourself in that vicious cycle of job after job and still not being happy, you're going to unlock some things. I mean, it's just natural, right? So those of you, thank you so much for joining, but I do hope that you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have these weekly Mojo sessions. I'm also looking forward into January. I'm going to start getting it together, a free masterclass, which is going to help us start really thinking about our mindset and unlocking that subconscious mind. So I'm going to be offering some free masterclasses in the 2021 year. So subscribe to my channel, stay connected on LinkedIn with me, and I hope to see all of you soon. And let's get our mojo on, right? I think we all deserve it. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving, all of you. And those of you that are not in the US celebrating Thanksgiving, have a wonderful holiday, whatever's coming up this time of year. Bye-bye.